All right, Stan, anything else?
Yeah, when the police get called to a dog problem, or they get called to a problem, there's a dog there, do they check for licenses at that point? And if they do check for licenses, is there a law that allows them to take the dog if it's not licensed? Because that would be a way to kill two birds, one stone. Number one is, if you have these dogs licensed or off the streets, and number two would be, it would be an opportunity.
Do you think of a reason why the police can't take?
I don't think they would confiscate the animal.
I mean, whether they can legally do it and whether they should do it.
Well, if it doesn't have a license, we don't know if it has a rabies shot. So from that aspect, I think it's important that we...
Yeah, but at the same time, you know how many unlicensed dogs there are in Port Jervis?
That's my point.
We could hire 5 dog wardens full time if we wanted to, and they have work to do.
Please hire another code enforcement officer before you do that.
Yes, I think they probably can legally. Administratively, I don't think they have the time.
Mr. Siegel suggested that we should have, this was very shocking to me, Mr. Siegel suggested that we should have police go door to door and check licenses of dogs as well as their rabies, and if the license or the rabies is not up to date, Mr. Siegel has suggested that the police confiscate the dog. There are several glaring problems with Stan Siegel's proposal, because there is a little document called the Bill of Rights of the United States Constitution that contains an item called the Fourth Amendment. And I'd like to thank Riviello for a website called billofrights.org. I'd like to quote the Fourth Amendment. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons and things to be seized. Searches and seizures by law enforcement are conducted to collect evidence against a possible defendant in a criminal case. But guess what? A license expiring is not a crime. Mr. Stan Siegel proposes that the police should go to people's homes and confiscate their dog for a simple violation. This proposal of violating the Bill of Rights of the U.S. Constitution by Stan Siegel is so un-American that you won't see this happening, not in Port Jervis, not in the Hudson Valley, not in the great state of New York, nor in the greatest country in the world, the United States of America, and that is because of the Bill of Rights that includes protection against illegal search and seizure. If Stan Siegel's proposal was put into effect, the ACLU would have a field day. They would come into Port Jervis, bring us to our knees, and make us bankrupt. That's what Mr. Siegel's proposal would do. One point is that there are some that believe that dogs should not even be licensed, because when you get a rabies vax, the dog is already registered with the state. Licensing the dog is truly just an extra layer of fees on top of fees that basically is a hidden tax. So if Mr. Siegel had his way, the police would come to my house, check the license on my dog, and if this had expired, they would take away my Chihuahua. I think not. Not in America, Mr. Siegel. So the Code Committee's credit, Mr. Siegel's proposal was unanimously renounced. If Mr. Wortman and I did not embark upon videotaping the committee meetings, I would not have proof of Mr. Siegel's statement, as I do, which can be viewed at spotlightonportjervis.com. There can be no apology or explanation for Mr. Siegel's comment, because it's either one of two things. Either he was completely unaware of the ramifications of illegal search and seizure and the Fourth Amendment, or he was aware of the Fourth Amendment and the Bill of Rights of the U.S. Constitution and utterly and completely has shown blatant disregard. Mr. Siegel has been the darling of both parties of Port Jervis politics for 10 years, and this is what his career has culminated to. Mr. Siegel has proposed something so vile to the politics of this country that I can see no other choice for him but to step down from the Common Council of the City of Port Jervis in complete disgrace. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? tonight. I agree with Ms. Riviello on the illegal confiscation of dogs whose license may have lapsed. I do not think we should be in a business of, that any member of this body should be there to oppose such an unconstitutional, frankly, un-American act. We're sworn to uphold the Constitution, and to do less violates our oath of office.
To defend Mr. Siegel, not that he needs me defending him, I prepared the code minutes today, about 2 hours ago, at which time I listened to an audio recording of the entire code meeting. That's generally how I prepare my meetings. And Ms. Riviello's statement tonight couldn't be further from the truth. It's completely false. It's inaccurate at multiple levels. I have that audio recording, which I can provide to anybody upon request. I would just need a blank CD or a thumb drive to record that. Ms. Riviello, you're fishing. I mean, if you're going to do this for 1.5 years on that, I mean, find something better if you're going to attack somebody. Not that. You're completely inaccurate.
I have the video also.
Excuse me, I have the floor.
You're welcome to watch the video.
And I have an audio recording. Her statement couldn't be further from the truth. All right, Stan, anything else?
Yeah, when the police get called to a dog problem, or they get called to a problem there's a dog there, do they check for licenses at that point? And if they do check for licenses, is there a law that allows them to take the dog if it's not licensed? Because that would be a way to kill 2 birds, 1 stone. Number 1 is, if you have these dogs licensed, they're off the streets. And number 2 would be,
Yes, I could.
it would be an
Can you
opportunity.
think of a reason why the police can't take?
I will, to make this very short, address both Ms. Riviello and Mr. Wortman by reading from the minutes of that meeting. Siegel asked if the police check for dog licenses when they encounter a dog on a unrelated call. He also asked if they can seize a dog if there's no license. Henry noted this would be difficult to do administratively. I threw it out for consideration of thought in an attempt to try to help the enumeration process by having the police department, if they go on a call and they find a loose dog, to determine if in fact they had a dog license, and if not, to hold the dog so that the owner could obtain the license. It had nothing to do with people's rights, it had nothing to do with any amendments of the Constitution. It simply had to do to try to catch up on a large number of dogs that are unlicensed in this town. And once again, I don't think there's many people outside of Mrs. Riviello or Mr. Wortman that would ever think that I would take away anybody's rights. That I've served this community to do just the opposite, and I feel very proud of what I did. If we can't have meetings where we throw out food for thought, then we shouldn't have meetings at all. There was never any assumption on my part that this would become a law, should become a law. It was just